On a freezing night in February 2004, a young woman crashed her car on a quiet road in New Hampshire. A witness called the police. But when officers arrived just minutes later, Maura Murray was gone. Her car was still there. The airbags had deployed. Her belongings were inside. The road was covered in snow, but Maura had vanished. No confirmed sighting, no body, no phone call. And after more than 2 decades, one question remains. What happened to Maura Murray? Because the strangest part of this case isn't just that she disappeared. It's what happened in the days leading up to that mysterious night. Maura Murray was 21 years old, a college student with a bright future ahead of her. She was studying nursing at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and to the people around her, she appeared to be someone with plans, ambitions, and a life that was moving forward. But in February 2004, something changed. On February 5th, Maura sent an email to her professors saying that she would be absent from class for a week. She didn't explain why. Then, shortly afterward, she contacted her work supervisor and told them she would also be away. And then came something even stranger. Maura began searching for a place to stay in Vermont. To anyone watching from the outside, it seemed like Maura was preparing to leave. But why? There was no clear explanation. Then, on February 9th, Maura made a phone call to her sister. The conversation reportedly became emotional, and that same day, Maura's father, Fred, spoke with her. Later that evening, Maura was involved in a minor car accident. She wasn't seriously injured, but something about that night seemed to mark the beginning of a chain of events that would soon become impossible to explain. Because less than 24 hours later, Maura would disappear, and this time, she wouldn't come back. On February 9th, 2004, Maura Murray withdrew approximately $280 from her bank account. She also purchased alcohol. Then, according to investigators, she packed her belongings into her car. And at around 7:27 that evening, Maura left the University of Massachusetts Amherst campus. But she didn't tell anyone exactly where she was going. Her destination remains one of the central mysteries of the case. Maura was driving north toward New Hampshire, and then, at approximately 7:27 p.m., everything changed. Her Saturn sedan crashed on Route 112 in the small town of Haverhill. A nearby resident noticed the accident and called 911. The witness later told authorities that Maura was standing outside her vehicle. She appeared to be okay, and then came the moment that would haunt investigators for years. A school bus driver stopped and offered to help, but Maura reportedly refused. She asked the driver not to call the police. The driver continued to a nearby location and contacted authorities anyway. Just minutes later, a police officer arrived at the scene, but Maura was gone. She had disappeared into the darkness. Her car was still there. The police arrived quickly, but somehow, the woman they were looking for had vanished. When police examined Maura's car, they found several clues. Her belongings were still inside. Her backpack was there. There was alcohol in the vehicle, and the car itself was badly damaged. But Maura was nowhere to be found. The police began searching the surrounding area. Dogs were brought in. Search teams examined the roads and nearby woods. Helicopters were used. The area was searched extensively, but nothing. No footprints leading away from the scene. No confirmed sightings. No clear trail. And perhaps most importantly, no explanation for where Maura could have gone. One possibility was that she had walked away from the crash. If that happened, she would have been walking into a cold February night, surrounded by rural roads and dense forest. But there was another possibility. Someone could have picked her up. And if that happened, the question becomes even more disturbing. Who? There were reports of possible witnesses in the area, but none could definitively explain what happened to Maura. Then came another problem. There was no confirmed evidence that Maura had planned to disappear permanently. She hadn't left behind a clear goodbye message. She hadn't contacted her family. She hadn't been seen again. It was as if the road had simply swallowed her, and after the initial search ended, the mystery only grew. As investigators looked deeper into Maura's disappearance, the timeline became increasingly difficult to understand. Why had she left her university? Why was she driving toward New Hampshire? Why had she told people she would be away? And why did she refuse help after crashing her car? Then there was the possibility that Maura had been experiencing emotional distress. Some people close to her believed that the events leading up to her disappearance may have been connected to personal problems. But even if Maura was struggling, that still doesn't explain what happened next. Because if she simply wanted to disappear, why leave her car behind? Why leave her belongings? And why has no credible evidence ever emerged showing that she was alive after that night? Over the years, countless theories appeared. Some believe Maura was picked up by a passing driver. Others believe she may have intentionally disappeared. Some think she may have become the victim of a crime. And others have suggested that someone who knows more about her disappearance has never come forward. But despite years of investigation, none of these theories has been proven. And then there's the most haunting possibility of all. What if the answer to Maura's disappearance has been sitting somewhere in plain sight for all these years? What if the person who knows exactly what happened has never told anyone? More than 20 years have passed since Maura Murray disappeared. Her family has spent years searching for answers. Investigators have followed leads. Amateur detectives have examined the timeline. And people around the world have become fascinated by the case. But Maura herself has never been found. That is what makes this disappearance so haunting. There is no confirmed final moment, no definitive explanation, no ending, only a frozen road in New Hampshire, an abandoned car, and a woman who vanished into the darkness. Perhaps Maura left that night because she wanted to escape something. Perhaps someone offered her a ride. Perhaps she was trying to reach a destination we still don't know about. Or perhaps the truth is something no one has imagined yet. The reality is that we don't know. And that's what keeps the mystery alive. Because every unanswered question creates another possibility. Every missing clue leaves room for another theory. And somewhere, there may still be an answer. A piece of evidence. A forgotten memory. A person who knows what happened. Until that answer is found, Maura Murray's story remains unfinished. A young woman disappeared on a lonely road in the middle of winter. And after all these years, the most important question still echoes through the silence. Where is Maura Murray?